everyone, I'm Jay, and this is another episode of Women on Death Row. Today, for episode 11, we're going to talk about Cynthia Lynn Coffman from California. As with every episode in this series, I'll be covering this case utilizing primary documentation, provided I can find it. Any sources used will be in the show notes, and if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so we can notify you whenever a new video is posted or we go live. That's the cheapest and easiest way to support us. Just as an added warning, the cases discussed in this series may contain difficult topics, including assault, violence towards children, and more. Much of the information comes directly from court documents and is based in fact. So please continue cautiously. Without further ado, let's... Cynthia Lynn Coffman's case is a chilling example of violent criminal behavior driven by a complex interplay of personal history, psychological factors, and external influences. Convicted of multiple murders alongside her accomplice, James Marlowe, Coffman's case has been the subject of intense scrutiny and debate. This report explores the background of Coffman, the crime she committed, the investigation, trial, and broader ethical and legal implications. Coffman was born on January 19th, 1962 in St. Louis, Missouri. Her early life was marked by instability, abuse, and neglect. She experienced significant trauma, including sexual abuse and domestic violence, which profoundly affected her psychological development and behavior. By her teenage years, Coffman had run away from home and had become involved in petty crime and drug use. Her tumultuous early years set that stage for her later involvement in more serious criminal activities. In 1985, Coffman met James Gregory Marlowe, a recently released convict with a history of violent crime. The two quickly formed a close bond, driven by mutual attraction and a shared sense of rebellion against societal norms. Marlowe, who was also known as the, quote, Friesman, due to his distinctive tattoos, exerted significant influence over Coffman, and together they embarked on a crime spree that would ultimately lead to multiple murders. The following comes from People v. Coffman, G062256 opinion. When Linnell Murray failed to return from work on the night of November 12, 1986, her boyfriend, Robert Whitecotton, became concerned and went to the dry cleaning business where she cashiered. Murray's car was in the parking lot, but the cleaners was locked and no one was around. Whitecotton summoned help and soon discovered the cleaners had been burglarized and ransacked. There apparently were no witnesses to the burglary. However, Coffman and James Marlowe were seen near the cleaners minutes before its scheduled closing time of 6:30 p.m. About 6 p.m., Linda Schaefer saw the two kissing in an alley behind the cleaners, and 20 minutes later, Coffman approached Linda Whitlake in the parking lot and asked her for a ride. After Whitlake agreed, Coffman walked over to Marlowe, who was inside a small white car. Whitlake did not anticipate giving Marlowe a ride. She was about to tell Coffman she had changed her mind when Coffman said they no longer wanted assistance. At 7:13 p.m., Coffman checked into a Huntington Beach hotel using Murray's name and credit card. She was wearing a dress taken from the cleaners. An hour later, Coffman withdrew $140 from Murray's bank account at an automated teller machine in Corona Del Mar. Later that evening, Coffman and Marlowe checked into the Compre Hotel in Ontario and had supper. During the meal, the two were affectionate and shared wine. Coffman picked up the dinner tab with Murray's credit card. The next morning, a maid found Murray in the bathroom of Coffman's Huntington Beach hotel suite. She was bound and gagged and had been strangled with a strip of towel. Her widely bruised body was strewn across the toilet, and her head was face down in shallow water in the tub. It also appeared someone had urinated on Murray. Coffman and Marlowe were arrested near Big Bear the following day. Coffman had a loaded revolver in her purse, as well as various identification cards and an earring belonging to Murray. She also had credit card receipts containing Murray's forged signature. Police found a white Honda belonging to Corina Novus in Big Bear that night. Kaufman's and Marlowe's fingerprints were on the car, and items from Murray's dry cleaning store were found nearby. The next morning, Kaufman led police to a Fontana vineyard where Novus's strangled body was found in a shallow grave. Kaufman told a jailhouse informant she and Marlowe abducted Murray from the cleaners and took about $100 from the register. They then took Murray to the hotel room, put tape over her face, and strangled her with a towel. Kaufman said she wrapped a towel around Murray's neck and pulled, but she, quote, wasn't strong enough to do it herself, so Marlowe got on one side and she got on the other, and they pulled together until blood came from the ears and she turned purple. Afterwards, Kaufman put Murray's head underwater in the bathtub while Marlowe urinated on Murray. Kaufman told the informant, quote, "You can't leave any victim alive." She never indicated Marlowe had forced her to do anything. However, at trial, Kaufman testified she never intended to kill Murray, but simply went along with Marlowe because she was afraid of him. According to Kaufman, her 7-month relationship with Marlowe was marked by physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. Among other things, Marlowe sodomized Kaufman, stabbed her leg, burned her face with a cigarette, and fired a gun near her head. Marlowe also hit Kaufman frequently and accused her of infidelity. Yet Marlowe offered his friend sexual favors from Kaufman and threatened harm to her and her family if she ever left him. Kaufman took Marlowe's threats seriously because she had seen Marlowe kill a man in Kentucky for money. Kaufman testified it was Marlowe's idea to kill Murray. At his direction, Kaufman wrapped a strip of towel around Murray's neck and applied pressure. However, she let go and told Marlowe she could not go through with it. When Marlowe insisted, Kaufman pulled the towel a couple more times before feigning a fingernail problem. At that point, Marlowe took over and strangled Murray. In rebuttal, the people presented a videotape of Kaufman and Marlowe fraternizing before a court hearing to show she was not afraid of him. The prosecution also presented evidence from Dr. Craig Rath, who interviewed and testified for Kaufman during the Novus trial. Dr. Rath could not fully remember his interviews with Kaufman. However, he recalled testifying in the Novus trial that Kaufman once stated she was jealous enough of Murray to strangle her. Between October and November of 1986, Cynthia Coffman and James Marlowe committed a series of violent crimes across California. The key events of their crime spree include the murder of Marlene Antoine, October 11th, 1986. They tortured and strangled her before disposing of her body in a remote area. There was the murder of Linnell Murray, again from the shopping center in Redlands. The murders of Karina Novus and Sandra Neary. Around the same time, they were implicated in those murders. Nearly similar circumstances involving abduction, sexual assault, and murder. They were brutal. The defense sought to mitigate Kaufman's culpability, but despite all of these arguments, the jury found Kaufman guilty of first-degree murder, kidnapping, and robbery. The heinous nature of the crimes, combined with the overwhelming evidence, led the jury's recommendation of the death penalty. Her case has since undergone numerous appeals, but there has not been any change. Straight from the defendant's petition, in her petition for resentencing, defendant averred, 1, a complaint, information, or indictment was filed against me that allowed the prosecution to proceed under the theory of felony murder or murder under the natural and probable consequences doctrine. 2, at trial, I was convicted of first or second degree murder pursuant to the felony murder rule or the natural and probable consequences doctrine. 3, I could not now be convicted of first or second degree murder because of changes made to Penal Code 188 and 189. Despite these appeals, they upheld her conviction. Thank you for tuning in to Women on Death Row. If you found this content interesting, you can find all this and more on the True Crime and Wine Time YouTube channel, as well as in the Courtyard Discord server. Click on the Discord invite link in the show notes and get ready for case files, game nights, daily streaming, and a fantastic community. Until next time, take care of yourself, your friends, your family, and community. Don't let anybody dull that sparkle. And shine on, you crazy diamonds. Shine on.